If you're a parent of a disabled child, getting the right support can be a real battle. And that feeling is something countless families know all too well. So what does that fight actually look like? Let's follow one mother's story in the UK.
It all started with a simple concern, but the professionals she turned to, they just dismissed her.
This was the actual advice she got, making her feel like an over-anxious new mom. So she was forced to wait, even though her gut was telling her something was definitely wrong. Getting that diagnosis wasn't quick. It took years of her pushing and fighting for answers. Even basic things like a coat peg were a fight. The system just wasn't built for him.
Okay, so on top of healthcare and school, there's a huge financial battle too.
In the UK, one of the key benefits is called the Disability Living Allowance, or DLA.
So you might be wondering, how long does this vital support take? Well, get ready for this.
It can take up to 28 weeks. That's over half a year for just a first decision. And if that application gets denied, well, the fight is far from over. You can appeal. And that appeal, it can take another 28 weeks. We're talking over a year of waiting. Imagine that. All that time, families are without money they desperately need. Now, this struggle is universal, but the systems are really different. Let's compare the UK and US.
Wow, look at the difference. The US wait is way shorter, but their asset limits are incredibly strict.
It's so easy to feel completely alone in all this. But what happens when parents fight back, together? That's exactly what this mother did. She turned her struggle into a way to help others connect. And her small idea? It's now a Facebook group that helps more than 4,000 families. Her final point really hits home. The fight is often with the system itself, not the people.
Welcome to the Nick Speaks podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community. Tune in every Tuesday, and don't forget to subscribe. And now your host, Nicolas Comstock. Hello, and I want to welcome everybody to the Nick Speaks podcast. I know this isn't Nick's beautiful face right now, but Nick has had family emergencies and had to go home to deal with that. I am Kyle Goodknight, Nick's producer of the Nick Speaks podcast, and he called me up a few days ago and asked me if I would put together some form of show for him so he doesn't miss out on his 76th episode. So what we came up with is something that I've been talking with Nick about, and if you're an avid listener of the show, you listened a little bit about what he's been doing with AI and ChatGPT a couple of shows ago. So Nick and I have been dabbling in the AI space for a while. I mean, heck, a lot of the podcasting notes and whatnot, of course, are done through AI, unkept secret. We always review them and make sure that it has all the proper stuff. But nonetheless, some of the things I've showed him in the past have really interested Nick, and we thought of doing some different secondary content with some AI usage to repurpose his shows. So when he called me up, he came up with this idea. He said, "Hey, you remember that thing you created with the two people talking back and forth about a review of a podcast?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, I know exactly what you're talking about." He's like, "Can you take my last episode and filter that into there and let those two AI, personalities, if you will, I call them Jake and Ava, is just the name I gave to them, and have them have a conversation about the last podcast?" I said, "Oh, that's fantastic." So I mentioned to him I'd come on first, explain to his followers exactly what's happening. Once again, everything's fine. Things are looking better, but he had to get home and be with his family. But real quick, what the content is, you've already seen a little bit. So the first minute and a half, 2 minutes of what you saw when you first tuned in to this episode, that was all generated per AI from the discussion of his last podcast with his guest from the UK. So that was I dropped the content into a AI generator of animation, and that's what it created. So you'll hear a little bit of redundancy. They cover, and then the rest of the episode after I get done babbling is an actual the discussion between two people. Now that's going to be a still picture. That is not a video. I am still trying to find the right video source for AI to do B-roll of long content. I was able to find one where it did B-roll for about 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, and that was great, except for it cut off one whole half of the 15-minute conversation between Ava and Jake, the AI-generated interview reviewers, I call them. So they basically review podcasts, and I've done it before for my podcast. I'll take my podcast on a midweek roll, and I'll put my podcast into that and get a 5 to 10, maybe sometimes 15 minutes, depending on how long the podcast is. I'll get them discussing what they feel from the content is talking points. So that's what you're going to hear next. You're going to hear Ava and Jake. So it's a kind of a blend of 2 episodes ago with his AI generated talk about how AI and ChatGPT is helping him speed up his content and helping him really get his voice to be heard in written form. So this is just maybe the next step where we start seeing some content from Nick that is still created organically, but we can repurpose it and do it also with some AI generation. Go ahead and listen to the rest of this content, and I hope you enjoy it. Take care.
Okay, just imagine for a second, your entire livelihood, the basic income you need to, keep the lights on while you care for a disabled family member. It all hangs on a single piece of paper. You fill it out, you send it off, and then you just wait.
And we're not talking about like a 2-week turnaround here. This isn't about just refreshing your email.
No, we are talking about a staggering 28 weeks.
Yeah.
That is over half a year of just silence, waiting for a yes or a no from some government office.
And here's the real kicker from the source material we're looking at today. If they finally come back after that huge wait and say no,
oh, I know,
you can challenge it. But that challenge, it takes another 28 weeks. So you could be looking at a full year of financial limbo.
A full year with zero support coming in, just waiting. That statistic, it just floored me. And honestly, it sets the stage perfectly for what we're unpacking today. Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
So today we're sort of crossing the pond to the UK. We're digging into a really heavy, but I think incredibly necessary conversation from the Nick Speaks podcast.
Right. The source is this incredibly candid interview with a woman named Kellyanne Rice-Smith. And while the geography is specific, she's dealing with the British system. The mission for our deep dive is, it's completely universal.
It really is. We hear about the bureaucracy of disability in these abstract terms all the time, right?
Yeah.
You hear about forms, red tape, waiting lists. It just sort of becomes white noise.
Exactly. It's so easy to tune out red tape. But today, we're going to look at what that actually looks like on a random Tuesday when you are raising not 1, not 2, but 4 neurodivergent children.
4. Just pause on that for a second.
I know. Parenting is hard enough, but parenting 4 kids with diverse needs while navigating a system that feels, frankly, designed to break you, that's a whole other level.
And the thing that struck me is that even though she's talking about the NHS and British pounds, the emotional struggle is identical to what families face here with Medicaid or Social Security.
It's the exact same fight. The acronyms change, the currency changes, but the job of the parent, being a medical expert, a lawyer, an admin, and nurse, that's universal.
It translates perfectly across the ocean.
So let's orient you here. Who is this family at the center of the story? Because their dynamic is just fascinating.
It really is. Kellyanne describes her family as fully neurodivergent. And it's this compelling case study in genetics because you see the whole spectrum in one house.
Okay, so who are the kids?
You have the eldest son, Callum. He's 24. His situation is the most complex. He's autistic, epileptic, he has severe learning difficulties, and he requires what's called a 2-to-1 care ratio.
Okay, let's stop there. 2-to-1. I feel like if you're not in this world, that term just flies by. Doesn't mean he just needs a babysitter.
No, not at all. 2-to-1 is a clinical term. It means he needs 2 adults supporting him at all times for his safety, for everyone's safety.
Right, everything.
Everything. Basic hygiene, feeding, mobility. If one caregiver needs to, use the restroom or cook a meal, someone else has to be right there. It means you are never, ever off.
Wow. So that's the high support end.
Yeah.
But then the other kids are totally different.
Completely. You've got the daughter. She's almost 21 and at university. She's autistic too, but her journey was, radically different. Then there are 2 younger sons, 17 and nearly 14, also neurodivergent.
So the whole family is navigating the world in a different way.
Exactly.
I want to zoom in on those early days with Callum, the eldest, because Kellyanne talks about knowing something was wrong really early, but the reaction she got from professionals, it made my blood boil reading it.
Oh, it's a textbook case of medical gaslighting. She's a first-time mom. Her son isn't hitting milestones, not sitting up, not engaging, and she goes to the doctors, and what do they say?
They just dismiss her.
They literally told her, oh, boys are just lazy.
Boys are lazy. That is such a dangerous, reckless thing to say to a parent.
It is. And it delayed care. And then there was this bizarre bureaucratic rule. She hit this magic age of 2. They told her nobody would do any formal testing until he turned 2.
So she just had to wait for 2 years, knowing something was profoundly wrong.
Yep. Just stuck in this void, blocked by some arbitrary age limit. And then, of course, the moment he has his 2nd birthday, it's like a switch flips.
The floodgates open?
Precisely. She says every professional under the sun suddenly got involved. Diagnoses started stacking up. Global developmental delay at 2, autism at 7, epilepsy came later.
But there's a twist with the genetics, right? Because at first the doctor said it was just a fluke.
They did. They explicitly told them, you have the same chance as anyone else of having another disabled child. Like it was a lightning strike. But Kellyanne realized later that, no, neurodivergence ran deep in her family. Her mom, her sister likely have ADHD or autism.
Which explains why all 4 kids ended up with diagnoses.
Exactly. The doctors were just wrong.
But that contrast between the son who needs 2-to-1 care and the daughter at university, it's just wild. How does she go so long without anyone noticing?
She wasn't diagnosed until she was 16. And this just shows a massive systemic issue we see everywhere, the gender gap in autism diagnosis.
Because she hit all her milestones. She looked fine.
She hit them early. She was an early walker. But she was masking. For anyone who doesn't know the term, masking is basically a survival strategy. You mimic neurotypical behavior to fit in.
That's like acting.
All day, every day. You're suppressing your natural instincts, forcing eye contact, scripting conversations. It is incredibly exhausting work.
So all her needs went completely unnoticed for over a decade because
Right.
all the energy was focused on her brother, whose needs were so visible and urgent.
Right. The quiet one often suffers in silence because they aren't causing a crisis.
So you got this family navigating diagnoses, then comes school. And this part of the story for me was just heartbreaking, this whole fail first idea.
Ugh, yes. This is a story of systemic failure that I think, unfortunately, a lot of parents will recognize. Kellyanne knew her son needed a specialist school. It was obvious. But the local authorities gave her this advice that is just completely backwards.
They told her to put him in a mainstream school first.
Yes.
Why? I don't get it. Why put a child with his needs into a regular classroom? It sounds like you're just setting him up to fail.
That's exactly the point. They needed him to fail to justify the funding for the specialist spot.
Wait, what?
Special schools are expensive. Mainstream is cheaper. So the bureaucracy demands proof-documented failure before they'll unlock the budget for the right placement.
That's cruel. You're literally using a child's trauma as paperwork.
And the consequences were immediate. On his very first day at the school, he was left unsupervised, a child who needs constant watch. He fell, hit a table, came home with a black eye.
Day one.
Day one. And it wasn't just physical safety, it was dignity. The story about the coat peg it says everything.
Tell us that one. It's small, but it's so powerful.
The teacher refused to give him a coat peg with his name on it, and her reason was, he can't hang his coat up, so why does he need a peg?
That is just... It's dehumanizing. It's saying you don't belong here.
Exactly. It's treating him like a visitor in his own classroom. And Kellyanne, she fought back. She argued he deserved a peg, whether he could use it or not. It's about being part of the class. But the school kept pushing him out. They even tried to ban him from the Christmas concert.
Because he might make a noise?
Yep. He might disturb the other parents. And again, Kellyanne refused. She forced them. He participated. And here's the beautiful part. He loved it. To this day, she says Christmas and Santa are his absolute favorite things.
Right up there with tractors.
Right up there with tractors. It just shows you're not just fighting for a coat peg. You're fighting for your child's right to experience joy.
But that advocacy, it comes at a massive, massive cost. Which brings us to the financial side of things. You can't fight these battles full-time and also work a full-time job. Something's got to give.
And for this family, everything gave. Kellyanne was a teacher. She had a career. But she had a nervous breakdown trying to juggle it all. The job, the appointments, the fighting. She just couldn't do it.
She had to leave the workforce.
And her husband.
He held on longer, but he left his job in 2022. His mental health was suffering. He was working these long hours, feeling disconnected from a family that was, basically drowning.
So now you have 2 parents out of the workforce. How do they survive? This is where we get into the poverty trap. Let's get specific with the numbers because they are just shocking.
It is shockingly tight. In the UK, there's a carer's allowance. It's for people who care for someone at least 35 hours a week. The payment is about £83 a week.
Oh, wait, let me translate that for our listeners. That's roughly, what, 111 US dollars?
A week.
A week. For full-time, 247 care. And here's the really brutal restriction. You can only claim it for one person.
That makes no sense.
Even though she's caring for multiple children with needs, she gets that one single payment.
The workload multiplies, but the support stays flat.
Right. And it's means tested. If you try to work a little on the side, there's a tiny earning limit of about £195 a week. Earn a penny over that, and you lose the whole allowance.
So it traps you. You can't earn your way out of poverty. And there was a savings cap too, right?
Yeah, under their universal credit system. If you manage to save more than about £8,000, which is not a lot for emergencies, your benefits start getting cut. So you're basically penalized for trying to build a safety net.
It's like the system is designed to keep you permanently on the edge of disaster, and then the husband's accident.
Oh, just a cruel twist of fate. After leaving his job, planning to do some self-employed work, he had a severe accident with a table saw, nearly lost his fingers.
So his ability to earn is now gone too.
It's severely limited. Kellyanne just describes their situation now as scraping by.
It's so fragile. But let's look at the day-to-day. We talked about Callum needing that 2-to-1 care. What does that do to the family dynamic?
It dictates everything. Their marriage, their time with the other kids, it all revolves around the respite schedule.
Respite, meaning he gets some time away from home.
Yes. He has a day program Monday and Tuesday. And then, and this is crucial, he goes to a respite house for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights.
So 3 nights a week, he's not sleeping at home.
Right. And Kellyanne is quick to point out that they're lucky. There's a massive shortage of these places in the UK, but that schedule creates what she calls the logistics of love.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. She says they have to schedule being a couple. Their family shape shifts. Sometimes they're a family of 6, sometimes 4, sometimes just 2, depending on who's in the house.
She mentioned a pretty scary statistic about divorce rates in these communities.
Yeah, she alleged a 90% divorce rate in families with these kinds of high-needs situations. And whether that's official or not, it speaks to the immense pressure. You're not partners so much as co-managers of a medical facility.
And what about the other kids? The siblings? It must be so hard when one child requires 90% of the focus.
She was really honest about this. She admitted the younger kids sometimes felt neglected. It wasn't intentional. It was just survival.
How did they handle that? That guilt must be so heavy.
They used something called young carers support groups. It's a brilliant idea. It connects siblings of disabled kids with each other so they don't feel so isolated. And practically, when Callum is at respite, that's when they have dedicated one-on-one time with the other kids.
That's smart. But there's always that cloud hanging over everything, the what-if question.
The question that keeps every single parent in this situation awake at night, what happens when I die?
He's 24. He'll likely outlive them.
And he needs 2 people to keep him safe. So who manages that when they're gone? They hope he can stay in their adapted home, but the fear is he'll end up in a full-time residential facility. It's that uncertainty that's just so heavy.
And yet, despite all of this, Kellyanne didn't just retreat. She actually pivoted.
Yeah, this is the turning pain into purpose part of the story, and it's so inspiring. She felt so isolated, so she started a Facebook support group. It now has 4,000 families in it.
4,000. That's a small army of parents helping each other fight this system.
It is. But she went a step further. She realized the foundation of everyone's misery was often just sleep deprivation. She shared this stat. 83% of autistic children struggle with sleep.
I can believe that. And if the kids aren't sleeping, the parents aren't sleeping.
And if the parents aren't sleeping, they can't fight the school. They can't fill out the 50-page forms. They just break. So Kellyanne retrained.
How's what?
She's now a sleep and anxiety specialist, specifically for neurodivergent families. She helps them solve the sleep problems so they have the resilience to fight all the other battles.
That is so strategic. Fix the foundation first.
Yeah.
It's solving the problem that makes all the other problems solvable.
Exactly. You can't fight a war when you're running on empty.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the big takeaway? We've talked about the UK, but this feels so universal.
I think the synthesis is that the system, ours, theirs, it implicitly relies on the unpaid, superhuman labor of parents. It demands you be a medical expert, a lawyer, and an admin assistant.
All while being a full-time caregiver. on maybe $111 a week.
Right. The system isn't really designed to support you. It's designed to gatekeep resources from you. Kellyanne's final advice was just keep fighting. Because if you stop pushing, the system will happily just roll right over you.
It's a sobering look, but also a real testament to the strength of these families.
Absolutely.
I want to leave you with one final thought today. We started with that number, 28 weeks. In a world where you can track a pizza delivery in real time, where you can move money across the globe in seconds, why does a decision about a disabled child's basic survival income take half a year?
And what does that delay really tell us about what or who our society truly prioritizes?
Something to sit with. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you on the next one.
Okay, what'd you guys think of that? I did take a listen to it prior to building this episode, and I thought it was really interesting how it took basically the YouTube link and had a discussion about the more poignant things in the episode and brought out some highlights. That was all about, Kellyanne from the UK and her 4 neurodivergent children. But, to have Jake and Ava, of course, remember Jake and Ava are not real, and have them actually review that content and to have a discussion back and forth is really kind of cool. And we do know that even podcasts are going via the path of AI generation. So could be something that Nick and I, expand on this. And Nick is never going to stop doing his normal interview style monologues, organic material. He believes in connection. He has over 77,000 followers on TikTok. And of course, he wouldn't have that if it wasn't for him being real. Nick never wants to be replaced by AI, but how do we expand what he's already talked about to utilize AI to get into different areas is where we could possibly go with this. But once again, please everybody keep Nick and his family in your thoughts and prayers, and just put out that good vibe mojo out there for them. I will wrap this up now. And of course, this is Nick Speaks Podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the disabled community and all the things that are involved with it for advocacy. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you have a comment on everything that we've done for this episode, please don't hesitate. Good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is with whatever you feel about it. And everybody has, the right to have their opinion about everything that this AI world is bringing to us. I see it as an extension of some cool creative things, no matter what it is. But I also see where it could be a crutch. And, I'm kind of in the middle about what I feel on AI as guests. So once again, Kyle Goodknight. I am Nick's producer for the Nick Speaks podcast, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to the Nick Speaks podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community. If today's conversation resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a new episode. You can find Nick across all platforms by visiting his Linktree in the show notes. And please leave a comment to join the conversation. Until next time, keep speaking up, keep speaking out, and keep speaking loud.